up, sports fans and fellow foodies? I'm Julie, and welcome to my kitchen, where each week I talk sports while I'm whipping up some culinary creations. And this week, Cubs Nation, you're feeling a little bit like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. That's because the Cubs currently have the best home record in the National League, second best in all of baseball. They are at 11 games straight at home that they've won. Nice job, Cubs. They took care of the Diamondbacks this weekend, completed the sweep. They have been winning at quite a clip at the friendly confines, friendly indeed, and we're gonna do some home cooking tonight in honor of that. All right, we're making some little individual chicken pot pies. You can do them in a big one, but we're gonna do some little mini ones instead. And I'm starting with 3 tablespoons of butter, and this is going in my low heat saucepan. We're gonna get that melted. And then we're going to start adding our aromatics, our onion and our garlic. But first we're just going to let that butter melt. And boy, have those Cubs been red hot. They've got guys who are coming through defensively. Their offense is clicking, and they're doing this with a pitching staff that is decimated by injuries. All right, our butter's melted in here. Put it back on our low heat. I'm going to add to this our onions. We have 1 small onion chopped up. You can do yellow or white. You just want an onion that's kind of sweet. And then we're gonna go ahead and add to that 2 medium carrots chopped up. And we're just gonna let those work for about 2 minutes or so as they soften. And they're gonna get coated in that butter. And we're gonna let that work for a little bit here. We've actually had a lot on the Chicago baseball scene to be excited about. When was the last time the Cubs and the Sox were both actually decent and worth talking about? Sox have been holding their own as well, winning series, and they've got the guy who's tied for the Major League lead in home runs in Munetaka Murakami. We'll probably talk about him quite a bit in the weeks to come. But today we are talking about what is going on at Clark and Addison. And Cubs fans singing "Go Cubs Go" at the end of the game until their lungs give out. And they've got a reason to be pretty excited because those Cubs have shot up to first place in their division. And again, good to see guys. Nico Horner, you knew he was going to produce. Nico Horner right now 10th in the National League in runs batted in. And you've got Ian Happ in the top 10 in runs scored. So those 2 guys helping to power that offense. Alex Bregman, you keep hearing such good things about him as a leader. You love everything you hear coming out of that clubhouse where it comes to their new acquisition at third base. And that team just seems to have some special juju going on when they're playing at home. Heck, maybe when they're at home, they're getting a little home cooking. Maybe they're kicking back with their significant other or their kids. Maybe they're enjoying some delicious food just like we're whipping up right here. All right, I've got a beautiful softening of my onions and carrots here. To that, I am going to add 2 cloves of minced garlic, nice and fresh. Those are our aromatics, onion, garlic, things like shallots. It's got that extra flavor, that really good smell, gives you a little oomph in your seasoning profiles. And we're just gonna let that go for about 30 seconds. Garlic does not need long. All right, you've heard me talk about making a roux before. A roux is a thickening agent that involves flour and butter. Well, we've got the butter in here with the vegetables that we are sauteing. And to that, we are gonna add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Bump that in there. And this is gonna get thick really quickly. You'll see it's kind of coating in there. We'll let that work for just a few seconds, about 30 seconds to a minute. Let that get all coated. And then when we add in our liquids here, it's gonna get nice and thick and silky. All right, so a couple quick tips. I'm all about convenience in the kitchen. If you're gonna make something from scratch, speed up the steps along the way as best as you can. And you'll see that coming up here in a second. So I chop these veggies, but if you don't want to chop them, you can buy them pre-chopped at the store. Let's go ahead and add our chicken stock here, and then I'll give you my little secret insider tip. This is 1 3/4 cups chicken stock. got that in there. I'm gonna bump my heat up just a smidge. We don't wanna go too hot. I'm gonna bump it up to about medium heat as we let that work. And that's gonna start to thicken up pretty quickly. All right, so here's my little insider tip if you're buying pre-cut veggies at the grocery store. You can buy the pre-diced onions and the pre-diced carrots, and you can make that work. You can buy jars of garlic that's already minced. If you want celery in your chicken pot pie, you can buy something called mirepoix. This is French. It is a mixture of onions, carrots, and celery. The French use that in all sorts of recipes, mirepoix, and I found it at the grocery store already cut up. So if you decide you want celery in there, in addition to or instead of your peas, you can go ahead and pick that up at the grocery store, save yourself a little bit of time. At this time, we're gonna get to that time in a second. All right, this is starting to thicken up. And in just a second here, we're gonna add one more liquid to this. Now, one other kitchen cheat or hack that you can use to speed this along, you wanna use, unless you're ambitious and you wanna use up that chicken you have in the freezer, those chicken breasts that are hanging out in your freezer, but you can use a rotisserie chicken for this. Makes it go so much quicker. And if you didn't know, you can buy pre-shredded rotisserie chicken at the same store that sells you the rotisserie chicken. So, handy, and saves you having that chicken carcass that you gotta throw away. Okay, if you take a look here, you will see that this is getting nice and thick. See how it kind of slowly drips off my spatula. So that's our flour working in there with our butter and our chicken stock to thicken up. And then because we want it to be extra silky, we are going to add a half a cup of heavy whipping cream. I love having heavy whipping cream around the kitchen. This actually has a pretty long shelf life in your fridge. You usually get about a month or so before it expires, unlike milk. So it's good to have on hand for your dessert recipes if you want to whip some up just to put on strawberries or on a cake. It's also great when you're trying to make things like soups and sauces. That heavy whipping cream gives you that added decadence. I have this getting nice and thick and silky here. Give you a look, it almost looks like a veggie soup right now, like a cream of veggie soup. And as that continues to heat, it's going to continue to thicken. And then we're going to add our chicken. I've got 2 cups right here. You can use shredded, you can use diced, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. You're going to stir that in, and you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of frozen peas. Frozen peas do not have to be defrosted for this, because if they're defrosted, they're going to get like way mushy in there. So it's okay if they've got a little bit of frost to them. So here's my 3/4 cups of frozen peas. And we're going to mix that into our chicken mixture as well. And this is looking classic right now. But you're thinking, well, Jules, I know how to make chicken pot pie. What else you got? Bring something else to the table. Okay, challenge accepted. We're going to show you how to freshen this up to make it a little bit lighter and brighter. So here is my mixture, which you can see, again, classic chicken pot pie mixture. But to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to add some fresh thyme. I've got about a teaspoon here of chopped fresh thyme. If you want to do dried, you do about 1/2 teaspoon. Cut that in half. So I'm going to smell those beautiful fresh herbs. And then, here's our secret. We're going to add some lemon to this. I took 1 lemon. I did about a teaspoon to tablespoon of lemon zest. Oh my goodness, that's going to smell good. It's going to give it a little added pop. Somebody's going to taste this and they're going to say, what is that flavor? What is that hidden ingredient? You can tell them or not tell them. It could be our secret. But it is smelling amazing. Between the fresh thyme and our lemon zest, doesn't get much better than that. We're going to add just a little smidge of pepper. You can do this to taste. I don't know about how much I like in there. You're going to want to add some salt as well. A little more liberal with the salt because I like salt better than pepper. All right, mix that in. Our mixture is beautiful. It is ready to scoop into ramekins. So ramekins are our little ceramic bowls, I guess for lack of a better word, little ceramic casserole dishes. Tell me these are just not the cutest thing you've ever seen. These are actually made by the brand Crock-Pot. So those we're gonna use today, but you can just use a regular one, just like this. You just want it to be able to hold enough for, well, I would probably eat 2 of these because a single serving would not be enough for me, but you know, you want it to look substantial. These little guys that I tend to use for prep, these are not only a little bit too small for a single portion for dinner, you also want to make sure they're safe for the oven. Our oven's preheated to 400 degrees. Those little red ones I just showed you, they cannot be in the oven more than 350 degrees. So you want to make sure whatever you're using is oven safe for the temperatures we've got it heating to. So I've taken this off the heat. The last splash we're going to put in here is a little squirt of our lemon juice. So that and the zest combined, it's gonna be bright, it's gonna be fresh, it's gonna lighten it up a little bit. Like I said, it smells really good as well. And then we're gonna put this in our ramekins, our little mini casserole dishes there. And I'm going to make this clean and easy by using a cookie scoop or an ice cream scoop, whichever you prefer. Go all lunch lady here. This helps you keep it from getting all over the place. I could pour it in from the pot, but it's unwieldy. It's kind of heavy. All right, we got that ready. I'm gonna set this right here. We're gonna move our filling off to the side. You can do this in a pie plate if you wanna make one big serving instead of a bunch of the little guys. But this will make at least 4 of these little ramekins. Now for the topping, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out our good old friend puff pastry, which I have thawed. You just need 1 sheet to do 4. If you want to go rustic, you're just going to cut this into 4 squares. And so it'll have some overhang on the edges, kind of like that. I'll show you on one of these. So when you have that overhang, rustic, it looks kind of like when people put the Swiss cheese over French onion soup. But I also cut out some circles. And if you do a circle, you want to go bigger than your ramekin. You want to go a little bit bigger because it's going to shrink in the oven. So I went a little bit bigger. Ideally, you'd want this to cool a little bit more, just maybe another minute or so, but we're going to forge ahead. If you let it cool a little bit more, you'll get a crispier crust. So you see, I'm kind of over the edges here. I'm going to do just a tight pinch, just quick around the edges, nothing fancy. And then we're going to use our egg wash. I've got 1 egg here that I just whisked with a fork. I added a splash of water to liquidify it a little bit more so it's not completely eggy. I'll brush this over, and this is going to give us a nice brown finish in the oven. And we're going to sprinkle a little bit of salt on there. Just a little spritz over the top. And you want to cut some sort of vent so it can breathe in the oven. You could do just some little slashes, or if you're feeling really ambitious Cubs fans, you can cut a W, because you've been flying that W flag quite a bit lately. So it's kind of a little messy there, probably because I had such a hot mixture in, but you can see I've got a W cut into the top. And this puppy is ready to go into the oven. All right, it's gonna cook about 20 to 25 minutes at 400 degrees, but keep an eye on it. When it starts to get really brown on the top, you'll know you're good. You'll know you can pull it out. So that baby's gonna go in the oven. We're gonna move this out of the way so we can show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. Because I just happen to have a few that I pulled right before we started. And look how pretty these turned out. And if you take a look here, you can see I kind of tried to scratch a W into there. Give it my best shot. This one just had a couple little slashes cut in it. And again, that's just to make sure you have a way for it to breathe. So it's looking pretty. It's got a nice crust on there. And I think we're ready to dig in and see how this one turned out. And boy, if you could just smell how good all those fresh ingredients smell. You could see the steam coming out. There's our chicken and our veggies. Oh my goodness, that fresh thyme makes all the difference in the world. You know, if you're feeling like you just need a little comfort food, because that's what home cooking's all about, isn't it? Hey, if I were the Cubs players and I were getting home cooking like this, yeah, I'd be performing pretty well at home too. So give it a try, see what you think. Feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll see you back here next time. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.